Grace and peace in the name of our Savior, Christ Jesus. It's wonderful to be here again. Last summer, when I was up here, my parents left the state. This summer, they left the country, and they took all of my relatives who live in the state with them. So, in that context, I'm going to try to share with you a bit today. The question I want to start with is, what does it mean to be blessed? We're going to look a little bit at what they call the wisdom literature in the Bible. That's the three books, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. And then the Catholics add another book called the Book of Wisdom to that. We're going to be looking particularly at the book of Ecclesiastes today. Julie read from the book of Proverbs. That was actually written to a child. If you've ever read the book of Proverbs, and you know that the book of Proverbs was written to a child, it was a child a lot more intelligent than I am that it was written to. So there's two questions that are explored in these three books. What is this world? And in the book of Ecclesiastes, we see the words "under the sun" repeated 27 times in the book. And what the author of the book is referring to is what's of this world. When he refers to what's of this world, he refers to seeing it. And this is one of those times when understanding the Hebrew, in this case, translation is helpful. You may have all been told all the different words that were used for the word love, for example, agape love. In this case, the word seeing is the word ra'ah. And this is a deep, deep form of seeing. This is not like seeing it in your peripheral vision. This is like going to the wine bar, uncorking the bottle, smelling the cork, watching them pour, swirling the wine, sticking your nose in the glass, slurping a little bit of wine out, and then enjoying the glass, and then joining the wine club, okay? So this is a real commitment to really seeing, okay? So when they use the word seeing and under the sun in the book of Ecclesiastes, they're talking about that. The other big question in the books of wisdom is, how do I live well in this world? The terms I have seen is used 46 times in the book of Ecclesiastes. So this is written from the perspective of somebody who's seen Raha and lived well, and is picture kind of the old man giving advice to the young person. The other word we see a lot in the book of Ecclesiastes is the word vanity or meaningless or fleeting. Different translations use different words in the book. This is mentioned 38 times in the book of Ecclesiastes, and this is the Hebrew word habel, which Rob mentioned. This word is like vapor or fog. It's a good Lutheran word because we drink a lot of coffee, and that little swirl of fog that comes off the cup of coffee, and when we're out in the commons with our fellow Christians after the service, that's habel. That's beautiful. You anticipate the coffee, you anticipate the wonder. If you see that, it's like, oh, the coffee's warm, this is going to be great, and then it just blows away. And that's habel. So this book right here is, it's the way we tend to look at it in modern Christian circles is we want to look at a verse and really lean into that verse and peel apart that verse and understand that verse. And that's okay. That we learned that, many of us, growing up in Sunday school. We had the memory verses. We go home and memorize them and come back, and then we get something when we came back on next Sunday for the memory verse. But some of us don't progress beyond that, and I think it's so important to start to explore this book as an entire document, and looking at entire books of the Bible and looking at the entire Bible. I mean, let's face it, people, we have bet our entire eternal destiny on what's in here. So let's look at it. Okay, so today I want to look at the book of Ecclesiastes with you a bit. And so we're gonna go through that. We're gonna start just on, and if you'd like to look along with me in your Pew Bible, it starts on page 536. So we're gonna start at chapter 1, verse 1. The words of the teacher, the son of David, king of Jerusalem. So some people say that this book was written by Solomon. Others say it was written about Solomon. But we're pretty sure that Solomon is the subject of the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, Solomon was the offspring of David, King David, and Bathsheba. So they kind of started off bad. So if those of you who remember that will understand that he came from, Solomon came from not the most ideal home life, all right? And so the words of the teacher, the son of David, king of Jerusalem, vanity of vanities, says the teacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What do people gain from all the toil at which they toil under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises, the sun goes down and hurries to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and then goes around to the north. Round and round goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All the streams run into the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, they continue to flow. All things are wearisome, more than one can express. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, or the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. There is nothing new under the sun. That's an important verse. There's nothing new under the sun, because I know my generation and the one that came after me and the one that's coming after that, we think that the challenges we're facing in the world are new. All right? Well, if you read this book, it turns out they're actually not new. They're exactly the same problems. But by describing them as new, by convincing themselves as new, we have an excuse not to look at this book for wisdom. They're not new. So nothing under the sun. That's an important message. Nothing under the sun is new. Is there a thing of which it is said, see, this is new? It has already been in the ages before us. The people of long ago are not remembered, nor will there be any remembrance of people yet to come by those who come after them. I, the teacher, the king over Israel and Jerusalem, applied my mind to seek and search out wisdom. All that is done under heaven, it is an unhappy business that God has given to human beings to be busy with. So we've got all this busyness. Is that new? Is that an old phenomenon? We're not busy anymore? That's pretty much describes American culture. We've got a lot of business to be busy with. I saw all the deeds that are done under the sun, and I see all is vanity and chasing after the wind. Have you ever done that? Chased after the wind? Reach your hand out and get a big handful of wind? That's what we're doing. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. I said to myself, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before me, and my mind has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. Now, in this context, the author is using the word wisdom to talk about things of this world. All right, in Proverbs that we read about earlier, we're talking about kingdom wisdom. So you've got to understand what the author, how the author is using that word. And kingdom wisdom is very different than the kind of wisdom we're going to see repeated in Ecclesiastes. And I applied my mind to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this is also but chasing after the wind. I said to myself, come now, I will make a test of pleasure. Enjoy yourself. But again, this also was vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad. I said of pleasure, what use of it? I searched with my mind how to cheer my body with wine. Some of us probably struggle with that. My mind still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly until I might see what was good for mortals to do under heaven during the few days of their life. I made great works. I built houses. I made myself gardens and parks and planted all of them with fruit trees. I made myself pools with which to water the forest of growing trees. So he had so many trees, he needed to create pools just to water them. About male and female slaves, and the slaves who were born in my house. So he had slaves for a long, long time. I also had great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings. And of the provinces I got singers, both men and women, and delights of flesh, and many concubines. That's not a good thing. So I became great and surpassed all those who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil. And this was my reward for my toil. Then I considered all my hands had done, and the toil I had spent in doing it. And again, all was vanity, chasing after the wind. There was nothing to be gained under the sun. Everybody in a happy mood now? So this can be a depressing book of the Bible, but it's actually a wonderful message, because the reality is as we chase these things, we will never find what we're looking for. And this message here is that you don't have to chase these things. You know, at my grandfather's funeral about a year and a half ago, I read Ecclesiastes 3. It's a very, very common verse. For everything, there's a season, a time for everything. Okay, I won't read it all right now, but you hear this read at memorial services all the time. And I was honored to read it at my grandfather's funeral. But, you know, at my grandfather's funeral, there was actually an error in the program that referred to a previous part of Ecclesiastes. And if you look 2 paragraphs earlier, back in chapter 2, verse 15, what if we read this? Then I said to myself, what happens to the fool will happen to me also. Why then have I been so very wise? And I said to myself, that this also is vanity, for there's no enduring remembrance of the wise or of the fools, seeing that in the days to come all will have been long forgotten. How can the wise just die, just like the fools? So I hated life, because what is done under the sun is grievous to me, for all is vanity, chasing after the wind. What if I'd read that at my grandfather's funeral? Why don't we read that at people's funerals? I tell you why we don't read that. I think why I wouldn't read it at somebody's funeral, because I'm scared it's true. I'm scared it's true, and it is true. It is true. But I don't necessarily want to be reminded of that in the middle of my grief, but it's true. It's important for us to remember that it's true. Going to verse 9 in chapter 3. What gain have the workers from their toil? I have seen the business that God has given to them to be busy with. He has made everything suitable for its time. Moreover, he has put a sense of past and future into their minds. Think about that. That is a uniquely worldly view, this sense of past and future. It's not what the kingdom is all about. The kingdom is infinite, eternal. Yet they cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. We can't comprehend it. Somebody once told me that the kingdom of God is like an iceberg. And when an iceberg floats in the ocean, about 10% of it peaks up above the waterline, about 90% of it is below the waterline. And the part of the kingdom that we're able to comprehend is the part above the waterline. So we think in terms of past and future. I know there is nothing better for them to be happy and enjoy themselves as long as they live. Moreover, it is God's gift that all should eat and drink and take pleasure in all their toil. So it's not a bad thing to enjoy life. So don't walk out of here thinking, I got to stop enjoying life. That's not what the message of Ecclesiastes is. I know that whatever God does endures forever. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. God has done this, so that all should stand in awe before him. That which has already been done, and that which is to be already is, and God seeks out what has gone by. God is eternal. And we need to have that perspective. I know that's very, very difficult for us as we navigate this life. Chapter 5, verse 15, as they came from their mother's womb, they shall go again, naked as they came. I just say naked because of last summer, right? They shall take nothing for their toil, for which they carry away with their hands. You're not going to take any of this with you, all this effort. So can we run our video? Jim Carrey's going to share a little bit of the theology of, this is from the 2016 Golden Globe Awards.
From the upcoming film True Crimes, please welcome two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey.
Thank you. I am two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey. You know, when I go to sleep at night, I'm not just a guy going to sleep. I'm two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey, going to get some well-needed shut-eye. And when I dream, I don't just dream any old dream. No, sir. I dream about being three-time Golden Globe winning actor Jim Carrey. Because then I would be enough. It would finally be true. And I could stop this terrible search for what I know ultimately won't fulfill me. But these are important, these awards. I don't want you to think that just because if you blew up our solar system alone, you wouldn't be able to find us or any of human history with the naked eye. But from our perspective, this is huge. One more time, here are the nominees for Best Motion Picture Comedy.
All right, so Jim Carrey actually gets this, right? And the reason the audience is kind of, I don't know if you watch the audience. I've watched that clip a few times now, and they're like sort of shifting uncomfortably in their seats and laughing because they know it's true, and yet it's in such conflict with the whole moment of the Golden Globe Awards. Chapter 6, verse 7, all human toil is for the mouth, yet the appetite is not satisfied. We brag about it. That's all the good it is for the mouth. Verse 9, better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering desire. Just accept what's in front of you. And then let's go to chapter 12. Verse 13. I could talk about a lot, but Cal said I had to set a timer today. So.
1 minute, Tom. 1 more minute.
The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for that is the whole duty of everyone. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. God just wants to be present with you. It's not about material wealth. It's not even about our physical comfort or our health or our fame or power or great experiences. It's about a relationship. Love God. Love your neighbor. And share the gospel. This is tough. We're tribal by nature, and we don't want to mix around with other folks. But it's critical. We cannot integrate Christianity into all aspects of our life if we remain tribal. And this is such an American message. It's such a current, contemporary, now message. Just watch a few television commercials. A little money, you'll fix this. It'll all be good. It's Habel. In our culture, it's been okay to pursue the exact same things that Solomon was pursuing in Ecclesiastes. Same things. What would it be okay to pursue in God's culture? And I'm going to leave you with this thought. When you wake up in the morning, what are you pursuing? Amen.